The wind howled, a frigid breath tearing through the small, isolated town, and with it came the snow, a thick, relentless curtain falling from a bruised sky. Inside a humble home, a kind old lady, her hands gnarled by time but her spirit unbowed, stirred a pot of soup. She had no idea that a different kind of storm, one of leather and roaring engines, was about to descend upon her doorstep, bringing with it a challenge to her gentle world that would forever change her quiet existence. The blizzard arrived with a vengeance, an unforgiving whiteout that swallowed the road whole and choked the breath from the sleepy town of Havenwood. Agnes Periwinkle, her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun, watched from her kitchen window as the world outside turned into a canvas of swirling white. She was a woman woven from resilience and kindness, her 80 years etched gently on her face, each wrinkle a testament to a life lived with quiet dignity. The storm was the worst she had seen in decades, a truly brutal force of nature. Suddenly, a rumble, deep and throaty, vibrated through the frosted panes of her window, a sound utterly out of place in the silent, snow-choked landscape. Agnes peered closer, her brow furrowing with a mix of curiosity and a touch of apprehension. Through the swirling snow, she saw them, a line of powerful motorcycles, their chrome glinting even in the fading light, brought to a halt just outside her property. Men, large and formidable in their leather cuts adorned with menacing patches, dismounted, their breath pluming in the frigid air. They were the Hells Angels, a name whispered with a mixture of fear and awe, a force of nature as imposing as the storm itself. 15 of them, stranded and imposing, on her doorstep. Agnes, a widow for 20 years, had always found comfort in the predictable rhythms of her life, the warmth of her home, and the echoes of her beloved husband, George. George had been a quiet man, a veteran who carried the weight of distant battles in his eyes, but whose heart was always soft for Agnes. He had taught her about courage, not the flashy kind, but the deep, abiding strength that came from within, the kind that faced adversity with a calm resolve. After George passed, a part of Agnes felt as though a light had dimmed, but she never allowed the darkness to consume her. She found purpose in her small garden, in baking for her neighbors, and in the simple act of living a good life just as George would have wanted. Her memories drifted back to George's stories from the war, the harsh winters he endured, the camaraderie that formed in the face of impossible odds. He would speak of strangers becoming brothers, of acts of unexpected kindness in the most desolate places. Agnes had listened, her heart aching for the young man he once was, shaped by the crucible of conflict. She remembered him telling her once, "Agnes, true strength isn't about how much you can lift, but how much you can bear, and still find the grace to help another." Those words resonated deeply within her now as she looked at the imposing figures outside. She thought of the cold, the biting wind, the impossible conditions these men, whoever they were facing. Her mind didn't dwell on their reputation, only on their immediate, desperate need. George would never have turned anyone away from his door in such a storm. Agnes, pulling her knitted shawl tighter around her shoulders, felt a familiar warmth spread through her chest, the quiet warmth of empathy, a legacy of her husband's gentle spirit. The leader of the group, a towering man with a grizzled beard and eyes that had seen too much, stepped forward, his face etched with worry. He spoke, his voice a low rumble, asking if they could shelter in her barn, just until the storm passed. His words were respectful, tinged with a weariness that cut through their tough exterior. Agnes, without a moment's hesitation, invited them into her home. Her decision was not born of recklessness, but of a profound understanding that humanity transcended labels, especially in the face of nature's fury. The men, accustomed to the rough and tumble of the road, hesitated. They looked at her small, immaculate home, then at their own muddy boots and heavy leather. But Agnes, with a gentle wave of her hand and a reassuring smile, insisted. "No one stays out in a storm like this," she declared, her voice soft but firm. "Come in, all of you. There's soup on the stove and a fire in the hearth." One by one, they filed into her home, shedding layers of wet leather and stamping snow from their boots, transforming her cozy living room into a landscape of imposing figures and their powerful presence. The air thickened with the scent of wet leather, engine oil, and the faint aroma of Agnes's vegetable soup. They were a stark contrast to her floral wallpaper and delicate porcelain figurines. Yet there was an unspoken respect in their movements, a carefulness in their heavy boots as they navigated her antique rugs. Agnes moved with purpose, her movements belying her age, offering them warm mugs of tea and bowls of her hearty soup. She spoke of the storm, of the history of Havenwood, her voice a calm counterpoint to the low murmurs of the men. They, in turn, spoke little, but their eyes, once hard and guarded, softened as they watched her. They saw not a frail old woman, but a beacon of unwavering kindness, a quiet strength that transcended their own formidable power. As the night wore on, the storm raged outside, but inside Agnes's home, a different kind of warmth bloomed. The Hell's Angels, usually masters of their own destiny, found themselves dependent on the quiet generosity of this small, unassuming woman. They helped her stack firewood, brought in buckets of snow to melt for water when the pipes froze, and even offered to fix a flickering light fixture. Their silence, once a symbol of their guarded nature, became a respectful quietude, a shared understanding that words were not always necessary. The moral tension in the air, a silent question of what these men might truly be capable of, slowly dissipated, replaced by the simple reality of shared humanity. Agnes never flinched, never showed fear, only unwavering compassion. She offered them blankets, cleared space for them to sleep on the floor, and ensured they were as comfortable as possible. Her silent resistance to the public's perception of them, her refusal to judge, was her most powerful act. As dawn approached, painting the sky in hues of rose and violet, the storm began to subside, leaving behind a world blanketed in pristine white. The men, refreshed and rested, prepared to depart. They gathered their gear, their movements now infused with a profound gratitude. The leader, his voice gruff but sincere, thanked Agnes, promising to repay her kindness, and Agnes simply smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Just be safe out there, boys," she said. "That's all the repayment I need." Then a subtle gesture, a moment of foreshadowing. One of the younger members, a man with a surprisingly gentle face beneath his beard, discreetly left a small, intricately carved wooden bird on her windowsill, a silent token of their appreciation. Agnes noticed it, her heart touched by the unexpected thoughtfulness. She didn't know it then, but this small act was merely the prelude to a much grander display of their gratitude. The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a dazzling sparkle over the freshly fallen snow. Agnes, sipping her morning tea, looked out her window, her gaze falling upon her cleared driveway, an unexpected act of kindness left by her departed guests. But what she saw beyond that, lining her quiet street, made her gasp. 100 motorcycles, gleaming and powerful, stretched as far as her eye could see. Each bike, meticulously polished, formed a silent, respectful guard of honor. And beside each one stood a member of the Hell's Angels, not just the 15 she had sheltered, but a full contingent, their presence a formidable testament to their code of loyalty and honor. They were there not with menace, but with a profound, unspoken message. Then, the leader from the night before walked to her door, not alone, but with several others. In their hands, they carried bags of groceries, a new electric heater, and even a skilled handyman to check her old pipes. They began to work, silently and efficiently, clearing her entire property of snow, repairing her fence, and making sure her home was warm and secure. They brought her fresh flowers and a cake. It was a spectacle of overwhelming, silent honor, a public apology for any fear their presence might have caused, and a profound display of gratitude. The townspeople, slowly emerging from their storm-bound homes, watched in stunned silence. Their initial apprehension quickly transformed into awe, then respect. The formidable Hell's Angels, symbols of rebellion and danger, were here, not to cause trouble, but to serve and protect this kind old lady who had shown them unwavering humanity. The public's silent judgment of these men was met with a powerful, visible act of selfless devotion. Agnes, standing on her porch, her hand held to her heart, simply watched, tears of gratitude welling in her eyes. It was a moment of profound moral justice, a visual payoff that spoke volumes. The overwhelming silent honor of these men, responding to her simple kindness, was a powerful, unforgettable sight. "Some kindnesses," the leader said, his voice softer than she had ever heard it, "are too great to ever be truly repaid. But we will try, Agnes." His words, imbued with a quiet dignity, resonated with the truth of sacrifice and unshakable honor. Another, a younger man, added, "You showed us what it means to be truly human, ma'am. That's worth more than anything." These were not just words. They were a testament to the transformative power of empathy. The day ended with the Hells Angels, their work complete, lining up again, not in a display of power, but in a gesture of profound respect. Each man, as he rode off, offered a silent nod, a heartfelt salute to the kind old lady who had seen past their leather and their reputation, and into their humanity. Agnes Periwinkle, a silent hero in her own right, had shown the world that true strength lies not in the loudest roar, but in the quietest act of compassion. Her story, a testament to the unseen battles fought and won in the heart, reminds us that dignity often resides in those who ask for nothing but give everything. It is a story that speaks of the profound impact of simple kindness, of the unexpected bonds that can form when we look beyond appearances, and of the enduring truth that honor, when truly earned, can manifest in the most extraordinary ways. What battles have you fought with silent strength? Share your thoughts on this story and where you're watching from in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, subscribe for more tales that honor true silent heroes.